Ireland, the Emerald Isle, situated on Europe's western fringe, is just a quarter the size of Germany. In every direction, its coasts surprise the visitor with their charms. In the south of Ireland, the warm Gulf Stream creates an almost Mediterranean atmosphere. There are many isolated fishing villages along the Irish Riviera, which is also the location of the country's only cable car, and Ireland's last oak forest and the man who saved it. The coastline and the islands are inhabited by special people with extraordinary tales to tell. Europe's most westerly points are situated in the far south of Ireland. The counties here are home to plant life from all over the world and a wealth of legends. One such place is the little town of Blarney in County Cork. Blarney Castle may explain why the Irish are such good storytellers. Paul O'Sullivan knows more about this. Every morning he sets off to work at a job which is absolutely unique, and for which he needs some very special skills.
You need to be quite strong, quite flexible, and you need to be very polite and well able to talk to people.
These dolmens, where Celtic druids performed their rituals, are more than 2,000 years old. The garden at Blarney Castle is full of mystery. Anyone who walks down the wishing steps backwards and with their eyes closed is allowed to make a wish. Paul tackles this obstacle course every day.
I wish that many people will kiss today.
Blarney Castle has existed in its present form since 1446. It's a symbol of early Irish resistance against the English, not least because it's supposed to hold the secret of the eloquence for which the Irish are famed.
Just above us is my place of work. Now I must make the steep climb up.
Paul has to climb 108 steps to get there. When Queen Elizabeth I of England tried to take control of the castle, the Irish owner endlessly beat about the bush, thus delaying the takeover. According to the legend, the key to this eloquence lies up here on the battlements. Paul already has visitors waiting.
Who's next?
Me.
Hi, have a seat for me. How are you?
I'm good.
Now, you just lie back for me.
Okay.
Grab the 2 bars behind you.
Okay.
Now, tilt your head back and just slide back and kiss. I'm holding people while they kiss the Blarney stone while they get the gift of eloquence.
This is why Paul is known as a stone holder.
Thank you very much. Now, next please. Have a seat for me. How are you?
Good.
Now, just lie back for me. Grab the 2 bars behind you.
This custom has its origins in an ancient legend.
And up you come. Well done. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
This is the Blarney stone down here. The stone was actually a gift to the king of the castle, and a witch on the grounds told the king, who had a speech impediment, that if he kissed the stone, it would bestow on him the gift of eloquence.
Oh, I'm going to have the gift of gab.
Some visitors wish to prove this as soon as they've kissed the stone.
And kiss there in front of you. Some people recite poetry, some people sing, some people just shout out some profanities. So it's quite varied what people say when they get up. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Okay, thank you.
I got here and I didn't have a voice, and now I think I can sing.
Not everyone finds it easy, hanging upside down to kiss the Blarney stone.
Some experiences we've had people with, unfortunately, wigs fall off. We have people who come up crawling along the floor because they're so nervous. But the people who are nervous, we coax them in and we try and get them to kiss the stone because they've come so far.
Paul gently tries to dispel the visitors' fears.
And just slide in and kiss.
He comes into contact with many people every day.
It depends on the time of season. During the summer, I would help about 2,000 people, and during the winter, it would be in the high hundreds.
They all want to kiss the stone. This is why some people call the Blarney stone Ireland's most unhygienic attraction.
Well, the Irish, I suppose, are known for being quite fun and maybe a little crazy, so doing the act of kissing the stone kind of fits that. Also, the Irish are known for being well able to talk to everybody, so it's nice to make everyone a little Irish when they come here.
Queen Elizabeth I was certainly extremely annoyed by the castle owner's procrastination. "This is all Blarney," she cried. And to this day, Blarney is a synonym for meaningless twaddle. That, at any rate, is the legend. The coast of southern Ireland is embraced by the warm Gulf Stream. Like a natural heating system, the current creates an exceptionally mild climate. Not much, however, grows on the craggy rocks. Gorse and heather struggle to keep a precarious foothold in the sparse subsoil. But in the many natural harbours, such as here in Castle Townsend, the Gulf Stream conjures up an almost Mediterranean atmosphere. On one of southern Ireland's peninsulas lies Durrus. Here the plants run riot. When Phemie Rose and her husband bought this plot of land 20 years ago, the rocks here were as rugged and bare as all the others in the area. Today, Kilravock Gardens is one of the most spectacular landscape gardens on the southern coast of Ireland. Tons of earth were transported here to create something like a subtropical paradise. Phemie is a passionate gardener who plans everything meticulously. Almost everything.
I'm a bit like a squirrel that has hidden its nuts and it forgets. And I forget where I've put bulbs. So this opened yesterday and I was reminded why I had bought it. So it was a lovely surprise when this lovely dark blue velvety iris appeared.
Unusually, the previous winter was really cold. Phemie's husband, Malcolm, is repairing the damage.
How's it going?
Oh, well, after the frost, it broke the concrete up so much that several of these small pieces of mosaic glass have come out. So I'm trying to glue them in.
Many of the exotic plants don't like harsh winters either.
We had snow which froze and lay on the ground for 2 weeks. So we have lost a lot of plants.
So replacements are needed. Phemie replenishes the garden with seeds that she stores in the fridge, to Malcolm's occasional chagrin.
He has muttering under his breath and thinking, why are all these seeds in the fridge?
For Phemie, the kitchen is a laboratory. Today, she's experimenting with smoke. These seeds originate from South Africa, where bushfires regularly burn down the vegetation. Phemie wants to partially replicate these conditions.
This is the exciting part. If you want to grow plants from different continents that have different climates and different growing conditions, you have to sometimes simulate conditions that break the dormancy of the plant. See, it has nice and smoky. So we put it in there.
The seeds now smoke for a while in the pot, along with the smouldering log. The smoke is supposed to act as a wake-up call. Only then is it possible for the seeds to germinate.
It's not the heat and the fire that breaks the dormancy, but the smoke. But it has to be smoke from wood or plants or something like that.
In the wild, the seeds need the signal that a fire is raging above them. The advantage is that everything gets burned down, and so it takes a while for enough fuel to grow for the next bushfire. Phemie now has to try and reproduce this clever trick of nature.
So it's all a big experiment.
But Phemie has a knack for successful experimentation. The proof lies in her collection, which is full of rarities from all over the world.
This is a plant which comes from an island off New Zealand, and the seed was collected by a French student who gave it to an Englishman who came to visit the garden and passed it on to me. So it's travelled a bit in its life. It's a very special plant, and I would doubt if there's another plant like this in Ireland.
There are parts of her garden that resemble the Mediterranean, the Far East, or a subtropical fern forest. The mild climate even allows rhododendrons to flourish.
I have to cut it back because otherwise we don't have enough space for the jeep. When Malcolm starts telling me that you can't get up the drive in the jeep, I have to do something.
Albeit reluctantly. The effects of the warm Gulf Stream can also be felt inland. In Killarney National Park, for example, a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. It's a unique landscape of mountains and lakes. Even exotic plants flourish here, as in the garden of the magnificent Muckross house, built in the 19th century. In the mild climate of the national park grows Ireland's last remaining oak and yew forest. But absconders that have broken out of the mansion's garden also thrive. And in bloom, they look superb. Peter O'Toole is a national park ranger. He's responsible for the upkeep of the ancient forest. The first thing he does each morning is check his most important tool. Because one man's joy is another man's sorrow. The shimmering pink to be seen everywhere is the oak forest's greatest enemy.
Rhododendron was brought first of all into Killarney by the landlords who owned the large houses and the big estates, and it was planted in the gardens as an ornamental plant. It grows well because it's found the perfect environment to grow in. The southwest of Ireland, you know, the weather is influenced by the Gulf Stream, and you have you don't have extremes of hot or cold, so you have perfect weather for growing plants.
About half the forest has already been infested by rhododendrons. The large evergreen shrubs threaten the survival of the indigenous flora. Peter climbs into a 4 or 5 meter high thicket of rhododendrons.
You see a total infestation of rhododendron in the woodland, and it is, you can see, if you look on the woodland floor, it has completely devastated the natural ecology of the woodland. All the natural layers that should be on the woodland floor have completely disappeared due to the fact that there's no light coming through because of the rhododendron canopy.
This is good.
A fire in the thicket is supposed to drive away midges, a terrible pest in the forest. Every summer, volunteers from Ireland and all over Europe help to exterminate the rhododendrons.
And we've got all your gear, got your hatchets and stuff. Right, look, we'll work on that bit there. Look, see that area there, lads? You can stem treat all that.
Peter himself works with a chainsaw.
I'm actually cutting a hole into the stem of the plant so that we can inject herbicide into the plant system. There's like a lethal injection for the plant, you know, so one cut and one small amount of herbicide and the plant is effectively dead.
The blue dye in the herbicide shows which plants Peter has already treated. Exterminating the out-of-control exotic species has become a matter of the heart for the helpers.
My ranger, Peter, he showed us all the places of like the destruction that the rhodo were doing, and that like all the natural native plants are being destroyed, and that none of them are growing back. So for that reason, I hate the rhodos.
And this is the scene a few months after the herbicide has been applied.
Well, here we have an area that was cleared of rhododendron and is now becoming reinfested by rhododendron seedlings. One medium-sized bush that you can see, that you would look at, can produce up to 1 million tiny seeds. And each flower that you see in a rhododendron bush can produce from 3,000 to 7,000 seed.
For this reason, each site has to be treated several times. But the results make all the hard work worthwhile.
Here we have the end result of all our hard labour. This area was totally infested with rhododendron. We cleared it several years ago, and you can see the woodland is being restored by natural processes. But it takes a lot of hard work to get to this stage, you know, and it's not finished yet.
But the first oak saplings are already growing in the light. It'll take decades, however, before they reach this size. Idyllic bays characterise the southern coast of Ireland, the Irish Riviera. They are the nursery of seals and mute swans. The closer one gets to the most westerly point of the Beara Peninsula, the more rugged the rocky landscapes become. Small fishing ports lie isolated in the lonely landscape. Off the western end of the peninsula is Dursey Island, on the edge of the world. After this, there's no landfall until you reach America, more than 3,000 miles away. Dursey is Ireland's most westerly inhabited island. A narrow stretch of water, 230 meters wide, separates it from the mainland. It's crossed by the only cable car in Ireland. Against the magnificent backdrop, the cable car is like a tin can suspended above the water. 3 times a day, the keeper of the tin can opens his little cabin. He's something of a rascal.
Hello, my name is Paddy Sheehan. I operate the cable car here in Ireland in West Cork, and I've been operating the cable car for about 18 years, and it goes across the Sound to Dursey Island.
The tides are too dangerous for a regular ferry crossing. The eddies and changing currents are simply too strong. So, in 1969, the cable car was constructed. Paddy tries to open the door, but...
I can't.
the high-tech safety latch has failed.
The safety switch latch has after dropping down, so no, you can't open it. See, somebody left it standing, and when it closed the door, it fell in. Now it's open, ready to go.
His first passenger is a farmer.
This is one of my many jobs. I press start, and off she goes, heading off to the island.
My name is Kilravock. I was born and reared there. I had to move from there because my older child started going to school. And there was no school in the island, so I had to move out.
This is the reason most of the islanders have left Dursey. But Gerald still makes the crossing every day.
I'm working there. I'm going shearing sheep.
Today, just 6 people live here all year round, along with hundreds of sheep. Now, the next of Paddy's jobs awaits him, that of cashier.
Good morning. Can we have...
You're going walking?
We are.
Yeah.
Can we have 2 returns then today?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
And it's safe enough today? There's not too much wind?
No, not windy today. Lovely day for walking. Have a nice walk.
Thanks a lot.
Have a nice trip.
Bye now.
Yeah.
In summer, most of the passengers are hikers. These 2 are still not entirely convinced that the tin can is safe.
Yesterday looked pretty stormy. It was a howling gale on the top, so I assume this would be swinging, but it's not. It's quite claustrophobic, but it's a lovely view.
Mostly adults, I would be afraid of it, yeah. Just when they step on it, it just moves a little bit. They travel so high and then it goes over the pylons and there's a big dip down, they get a bit frightened on it.
Paddy is even equipped to deal with heart attacks.
It's another one of my jobs. I'm trained in defibrillation. If anybody gets knocked out, I hope I'll be able to revive them back to health.
For emergencies, there's a little bottle of holy water inside the cable car. And
Small prayer for everybody on board. Whoever goes to the Lord for safety, whoever remains under the protection of the Almighty, can say to him, "You are my defender and protector." It's encouraging, isn't it?
10 minutes later, the crossing is completed, without incident.
Just checking, see if there are any more customers. Nobody else to go. In a few minutes, I'll be going for my breakfast, my late breakfast.
Next to the house he was born in, Paddy keeps poultry. And a long-time companion has also found a new purpose here.
Now, this is the old cable car, and it was in operation for about 40 years. So about 2 years ago, we got a new cable car. So then I got this as a little souvenir and I brought it to my farm, and now I use it for holding hens and my ducks and things. Now this is another one of my jobs. I collect my eggs and we use them in the bed and breakfast because people like our fresh eggs. I have a good morning, yeah. And maybe I get some more in the afternoon.
But before that, Paddy has to attend to his main job, running the cable car at the end of the world. From here, the idyllic Beara Peninsula stretches for 30 miles to the northeast. It was named after the ancient Irish fertility goddess. and its green valleys still offer good grazing, especially for cattle. Just a few kilometres from Dursey Island is the village of Eyeries. Even from a distance, it's immediately clear what makes this place so special. Eyeries is considered to be Ireland's most colourful village. 2-metre-high fuchsia hedges crisscross the landscape. Just outside Eyeries is a little farm called Milleens. It's home to a couple who decided to drop out of the rat race. 2 philosophers who became trendsetters. Veronica Steele has lived here with her husband since 1970. Back then, they both commuted to jobs at the University of Dublin. Veronica's husband, Norman, taught the philosophy of Ludwig Wittgenstein. Then Veronica had a special business idea, and Norman has been collecting milk from the surrounding farms every morning ever since.
Ciao for now. See you later. Well, I had 1 cow, and I couldn't possibly drink all the milk. And I love cheese, and it was very difficult to find good cheese. So I put 2 and 2 together and used the milk to make a soft cheese.
The idea was a runaway success. Their son Quinlan now runs the family business.
We'll check the card.
Here he's using enzymes to extract the milk protein casein from clotted milk.
We're going to slice it up and separate out the liquid. Here is a ton of milk, and tomorrow this will be 100 kilos of cheese.
Quinlan has never yearned to be a philosopher. He likes making cheese.
It's an art and it's a skill. It's an incredibly complicated process, and there is no end to the learning. I enjoy living in the countryside.
The agglutinated milk protein is placed in moulds, and bacteria then turn it into cheese. The location of Milleens plays an important role in creating the special quality of the cheese.
Our rain is the key ingredient. First of all, we have the Atlantic, so the rain travels a long way to get to us, which means it's clean, it's not polluted. But what really makes our cheese unique is our cows just eat grass, they eat a whole range of flora. So by having quite diverse grazing, we have a diverse range of flavours.
In addition, each cheese is lavished with loving care and attention.
Like a baby.
A few days later, the matured cheeses are washed and brushed. Veronica provides the philosophical framework.
Well, if you want to be a Marxist, there can be an alienation between you and your food. The food can come from a huge factory on another planet. But this type of food production, there's no alienation. You're very close to the animal, very close to the human. That is deeply philosophical.
So each wheel of cheese has its own individual character.
Each one is different, but each is identifiably and very much Milleens. You can't confuse it with any other product. One of the good things in life.
Her husband, Norman, has never regretted going into the cheese business either.
And I love teaching. But it's been a lovely way to bring up a family, a really nice place to live, and we've been very proud of creating a really good food.
Once a week, Norman starts the philosophical dropout cheese on its journey out into the big wide world. Milleens was the first Irish farmhouse cheese and now has 70 imitators around the country. Just 2 peninsulas further up the coast. Magnificent panoramas characterize the Dingle Peninsula. They've been attracting people in search of inner peace since time immemorial. This was probably true of the Christian monks who built the Durrus oratory, a simple stone church, in the 8th century. A few kilometers away is the little town of Dingle, after which the peninsula is named. At first glance, Dingle looks just like the many other fishing ports along the Irish coast. But the visitor soon notices that something here is different. There are more than 50 pubs in the vicinity of the harbour alone. Dingle's attraction came to the bay almost 30 years ago and took a shine to human beings. Fungie, the friendly dolphin, has been attracting visitors from all over the world ever since. And the town has already erected a memorial to its star during his own lifetime. Fungie also plays a special part in the life of Suzanne and Nick Massett. Their daughter Georgia would never have been born if it hadn't been for the bottlenose dolphin.
We met here down at the beach, just with our mutual interest of the dolphin.
Two crazy people coming down to swim with Fungie, and we had this passion for the dolphin.
That's where it all began for us, as a couple, yes, down here. For the last 25 years, people have been asking, why is he here? Dingle is a natural harbour. You've got this tidal flow of water coming in and out. It's a great feeding ground for the dolphin. As people started to go in, this sort of interaction started to take place. He thrives on that energy that he picks up from people. There's no denying that.
Suzanne and Nick remember some extraordinary experiences with the dolphin.
Fungie came charging over. He jumped over one of us, jumped over Suzanne, came down under me, jumped over me, over Suzanne. He was doing a figure of 8. There was a lady on the shore there who'd seen the whole thing, and she said, that was incredible. She said, Fungie's married you. That intertwining, he's intertwined you, and Fungie's married you.
Yeah, so we had to get married after all that. We had to do it.
10 years and 3 children later, the relationship with their marriage broker is no longer so close, and Nick and Suzanne only visit their old friend occasionally.
When we were swimming all the time, when we were swimming every day, it was a very intense experience, and we had a number of years of that.
Priorities in life changed. We did get married and we had children, and you know, they then become your priority, whereas for a long time in our lives, Fungie was the priority.
Out in the bay, things are getting busy. 8 captains earn their livelihoods taking tourists out to see Fungie, the Dingle dolphin. The visitors wait expectantly for him to appear. Nick, Suzanne and their daughter Georgia also go into the water to swim with the 4-metre-long dolphin.
You can't really attract him. He'll come if he wants, and if he doesn't want to, too bad.
But you can give it a try. Fungie likes it when rubber dinghies go round in circles. Several boats at once try to attract Fungie their way. And he obliges them. Of his own free will, without expecting a reward. Even after all these years, he simply seems to enjoy it. At last, he discovers his old friends.
I didn't even see him coming. He kind of came from nowhere, really. I just heard Nick give a shout. The next thing I could see this big grey body right in front of me.
As he was coming, I could just see the white of his beak coming straight at me. He just went streaming past. Magic.
Even if it was only a brief reunion.
A quick hello, but that's great. It's nice, yeah, nice to say hello, yeah. And that's all I was looking for, really, yeah.
But how long can he go on? Dolphins live to be 40, maybe 50 years old.
Fungie's going to live forever. It's hard to imagine the dolphin not being here. Every boat that comes into the harbour, Fungie's there to greet them. He's the welcome to Dingle, and so it'll be a great loss to the town.
At least Nick has discovered a new passion for the sad time after Fungie has gone.
Yeah, I suppose my fascination with fungi has developed into a broader interest in whales and dolphins. What I'm doing is recording sightings of the different species that I see here off the peninsula.
And so what began as an infatuation has now become a scientifically useful pursuit for Nick. From Slee Head, he has a fantastic view over the sea, and not just of whales. On the neighbouring island, there's a derelict village which was abandoned by its inhabitants. Here on Great Blasket Island, some of the great works of Gaelic literature were written at the beginning of the 20th century. One such work was The Islandman by Tomás Criomhthainn, which was translated into German by Annemarie and Heinrich Böll. By 1953, the last remaining inhabitants had left the island and the hard life here in search of a better, more modern life on the mainland. All they left behind were a few donkeys and a ghost village. From Easter to October, Sue Redican spends the nicest part of every year here among the ruins, all alone.
I've been here since 1987. I'm just living my life here on the island. I like the peace, I like no electricity, I like the quiet, and I just feel very content here, and I wouldn't really want to be anywhere else.
In doing so, Sue goes without many apparent comforts.
Last year, a little girl saw me doing this, and she asked me, well, why don't you put it into your dishwasher? So I had to explain, this is my dishwasher, my washing machine, it's everything.
Sue's home consists of 10 square metres of converted cowshed. Why does she do it?
I think this is an easy life. I think it's very easy. Although it looks very small, I keep everything in here. I keep all my food and my plates here, and I keep a big store of dried food, pasta, and again lots of tins, because I could be stuck for up to 3 or 4 weeks without a boat. So I just have to make sure that I can survive for those weeks. I keep all of my fresh fruit and vegetables in here. And this I hang up on the hook here, just to keep it out of the way of the mice. I bring in books, but I never seem to have enough hours in the day to read. So I do a lot of walking, a lot of bird watching. You're always aware that there has been people here before you. but I don't find it difficult in any way. People often say to me, have you ever seen a ghost? But I haven't seen one yet. I have a son who lives on the mainland and he has 5 children, but he runs one of the ferries, so the children are always back and forth. There's always the sea, there's always the sound of the wind. Really, I never feel lonely. You feel alone, but never lonely.
Today, Sue wants to collect lichen. The best place for it is on the cliffs.
Well, this lichen, the grey-green one, is a sea ivory, and that grows a lot quicker than the other. The yellow one, you see, takes much, much longer. But when you see them growing as strongly as they do, it's a sign that the air is very clean, that there's no pollution. So the island is a particularly good place to collect it.
This is not without its dangers.
Last August, while I was out, I just tripped and broke my ankle. So I had to go up to the house and then ring for the lifeboat. About 3 o'clock in the morning they arrived and took me from the island into Dingle. All in all, it took about 10 hours to get into the hospital.
But Sue is back on the island again. At home, she boils up the lichen with wool.
I think it's just a nice, subtle way of getting different colours. If you use chemical dyes, you just get a very even, dead colour. But when you use the dyes, they're all very natural and they all seem to blend together then, if you're weaving them together.
While the liquid is brewing in the pot, Sue sits outside and spins dyed wool into threads.
I think I like spinning because it's very relaxing. You just think of everything, really. I just like looking out at the sea.
In winter, Sue moves back to the mainland. There she makes hats and quilts from the wool she's spun.
A lot of people have said to me, if you go to Dingle and have a shop, you know, you'd make lots of money. But I said, if I go to Dingle, I wouldn't have this, and money can't buy it.
Especially not the peace and quiet, and the fact that Sue is her own boss. In the next episode, we join surfers as they plunge into the Atlantic off the west coast of Ireland. We visit the annual matchmaking festival in Lisdoonvarna. And we accompany an Irish horse whisperer in search of the legendary wild Connemara ponies.